Welcome back to another episode of Dr. Baldy Knows Best. We are doing gluten-free pizza today. Look at that beauty coming out of the oven. Gluten-free pizza dough is really tough. And so we're going to show you what I think is the best gluten-free pizza crust that's out there. It's easy to make. You got to really follow some of the steps closely. But if you do it, you can get a real Neapolitan style pizza and still be gluten-free. My wife and daughter are gluten-free, so we have to come up with some wonderful options for them. Unfortunately, the world of gluten-free pizza dough is pretty horrible. You can go get some cauliflower ones. I don't recommend that. I think some people like them, but that's a little frightening to me. Or you can find some other gluten-free products, and most of them taste like cardboard. Some of them you have to par bake, but this Italian company has this flour, this Caputo, and it is incredible. We make a Neapolitan style pizza, so we're going to be in an oven that's about 900 degrees, and we want to have that cool rim around the pizza and cook it in just a couple minutes. And you normally can't do that, but this company has figured it out. So pretty simple recipe. One of the secrets is making it the night before. Pizza night's tomorrow night, so we're gonna make this up, and it's gonna go in the refrigerator in little containers, and it will actually double in size. So it's gonna rise, and you really almost work it like regular pizza dough. Now, we'll show you tomorrow when we're making the dough balls. You can't do the typical handling with it. It's pretty fragile, but we'll just push it out. But it looks and smells and tastes pretty close to real Neapolitan pizza. So let's get started. We're gonna just make a half a batch. It's just my wife and daughter. So we're gonna do 500 of flour. We just use the recipe that's right on the bag. And so I've measured out our salt and our yeast. One of the things I recommend is you go ahead and hydrate your yeast. So I took 50 ml of the water from the recipe out. We're just gonna put our yeast in there. You can add yeast right into the mix. I like to rehydrate it, and yeast is kind of funny. You have to really stir it to get it in there. It sits right on top, and it takes a while for it to reconstitute, but I think it really helps get it through. So we're gonna give that a little bit of time, and we'll start mixing this up. The stand mixer works great. You don't have to use it. It's a very simple recipe. We just have the flour, we have salt, we have olive oil, and we have yeast, and that's all that it takes. So the other trick in the stand mixer, instead of using a dough hook, you actually use this paddle attachment. And just because of the way this dough works, it's very sticky, kind of hard to work. This will be a much better way to go. So if you have a stand mixer, go ahead and use that attachment. Now we're going to go ahead and add everything to the stand mixer. So we have 500 of the Caputo gluten-free yeast. Woo, that makes a mess. I'm going to put that in there. If you didn't know, my wife likes red. And then we'll go ahead and throw the water and the salt. We got some nice Jacobsen sea salt. I went ahead and dissolved it in the water because it was kind of a coarse sea salt. So we just went ahead and dissolved that. So we're gonna turn on the stand mixer and start pouring this in. And this is not gonna act like normal dough. It's kind of messy and sticky. So it's a very different kind of dough to work with. And then we're adding in our yeast. I like the Caputo yeast. It's a dry yeast. It's hard for us to find fresh yeast. If you have fresh yeast, that's even better. And I reconstituted that in some water. Now we're just going to let that mix for a while. Once it's well mixed, then we'll add in the olive oil that we have measured out here. It's starting to mix together pretty nicely. We can go ahead and add the oil in here. It's a very wet, kind of sticky dough. So when you're working with it, you really have to get your hands wet. And we just kind of will make it into a ball and then partition it and put it into containers to rise in the refrigerator. So right now we're just going to scrape everything down at the bottom of the bowl. And then we'll move it over the bench and form it into a log and then cut that guy up. But this is sticky, messy stuff. But it's worth it to get gluten-free Neapolitan pizza. So we're just going to dust a little flour here. Just for our workspace. Got to make a mess. If you're going to make pizza dough, you better make a mess. I get kind of stuff everywhere, as my wife always reminds me that I'm kind of messy. So we want to get this out of here, and a scraper works pretty good. It is a little crazy to work with. Okay, so we just kind of, we're going to flour it a little bit on the top too. It makes it just a little bit easier to work with. And then we're just kind of pat it and get it into kind of a log. The best way to do it. And that's pretty good. And we're just going to cut this. I'm going to shoot for about 250 grams. We'll see how many we get out of this. $261, that's good enough for who it's for. And that's going to be a bit big. Let's see. Look at that. Pretty close. Oh, that's too big. 240. All right, that'll work. We can add a little bit to that one, a little bit to that one. Okay. Ball those up, and we're going to put them in the container. I'll show you that here in a second. We have these little containers. We're just going to spray them down with a little oil. And you'll be amazed, these will rise because of that yeast in there. So we got to do the lids too, so you can get it back out of here. And we'll just pop those guys in here. And we're going to let them rise on the counter for a little bit before we put them in the refrigerator, and we'll come back and put those in the fridge and let them rise overnight. So it's 24 hours later. As you can see, it rose pretty good. Oh my gosh, it like blew the top off. So, whoa. I like to take it right out of the fridge, and then I make a pretty good pile of this stuff, and we're just gonna go right into that and try to get the flour all over it. This is very different dough. You can't work it like normal dough. And we're just gonna start pressing it out, and you're just gonna work your way out. We're gonna try to leave a little rim if we can to see if we can get a little push, but just have to be really careful with this dough, and you just keep slowly working it out and flattening it out until you get to the big enough size. So you just got to be patient with it. So what I'm trying to do is get as much of this gluten-free flour off here, and then we're going to use rice flour on the pizza peel itself. So I'm going to transfer it just to get some of this off of here. And this just helps get some of that off. And now the rice flour is just a little bit better for cooking with it. Now what I like to do is I like to make the pizza on this peel, and then we'll transfer it back onto this peel to launch it. So that's how we got the dough. And now we're just gonna make up the pizza. So we've got it transferred to this launching tray. And if you come in here, you gotta work kind of quickly with the gluten-free, but it's sliding. If you can see me sliding, so it's gonna launch just fine. So we got it all made up. We've got the Gosney dome fired up with wood, and we're just gonna go in here and we're gonna give it a nice little launch.